Hello, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in to a brand new episode of Reaching New Heights. Today's episode is so special, and I am so excited to be meeting them IRL in real life. Finally, they are the creators of Belli Welli, which is a gluten-free, dairy-free, low-sugar, IBS-friendly snack. I was turned on to it from a really good friend of mine. I received a package and I fell in love with it, and I needed to know more. I wanted to meet the founders, Katie and Nick, and just have an honest conversation about how Belli Welli came to be, the journey, the inspiration behind it, and how we all listening can really better our lives and incorporate better, healthier, quicker tips with our busy lives, because we're all following our dreams and making it happen every day. So Katie and Nick, thank you for being here today.
We are so excited about this.
We're super excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this conversation big time.
Yes, it's so amazing meeting you both, even though it's over Zoom. I cannot rave enough about Belli Welli, and you guys know, everyone listening, I would never promote a product that is just doesn't have a good reputation, or it seems fake, or it's gimmicky. Because a lot of my audience online and in real life, my fans, my followers, they are teenagers and young adults, and they are so impressionable. And I would never promote a product that just is triggering and it causes people to second guess themselves and their bodies and who they are as a person and their morals and beliefs. And Belli Welli is truly a food brand that I stand behind 100%. And as someone who is gluten-free and I've had issues with leaky gut before, this is a snack that I know it's safe, it's reassuring. And I think also for people on the go, like myself, there's such an anxiety of, oh my gosh, I have to go to the airport, this place, and the fear of, what if I get hungry and there's no snacks that cater to my needs? But I love Belli Welli because you can throw it in your purse, your bag, and you just feel like that sigh of relief if you have children, you're traveling with a family, and you just have that fear of like, oh no, but what if I get hungry and there's no options.
So much yes to that, Megan. In fact, that's exactly where this all came from. It came from the fact that Nick is from England, and we were going back and forth to England a few times a year, of course.
Yes.
And I had gut issues and could not, for the life of me, find a snack that I could take on the big long plane journey that I knew wouldn't cause digestive upset or land me in the airport bathroom, the plane bathroom. I wanted something I knew I could have without the GI consequences. So it's interesting that you mentioned on-the-go snack. That is why we launched the bar product. The gut challenge, something we hear from the gut challenge community day in and day out is, I just want to have something that tastes good. That again, I know I can have without worrying about the GI symptoms hitting 2 hours later. So
yes. There needs to be more products like Belli Welli on the market, like in airports, at gas stations, just when you're on the go and you have to search through all these junk foods. It's filled with processed ingredients like trans fats. It has GM. It's just so, and I think a lot of the times when we are traveling or on a road trip and we're on the go, we're looking for these snacks where, they can fill us up hoping they will, but it's really, even if it says, it's vegan or it's like paleo or keto, it's like, they're not really that. And they're just filled with a ton of sugar it's just all that stuff. So I really like Belli Welli because it is the real deal. And it's not just healthy on the outside, but on the inside, the ingredients are very nutritious and very clean.
Yes, you're so right. And you mentioned something too that I totally related to, or do relate to as a consumer. When I, first entered the gut challenge community as someone who really started to have to pay attention to what it said on the back of the wrapper,
right,
I realized that there's a lot of terms that get thrown around on food products, i.e. gut friendly. And once I really understood what gut friendly meant, I noticed that, you look at the back of a lot of those wrappers and they're not gut friendly. It was clear that the homework hadn't been done. So when we launched this, we're adamant about the fact that we've done the homework. We know these work for sensitive guts, mostly because I am someone in that community. So, we won't ever compromise on that. Our formulator said, do they really have to be gluten-free, dairy-free, low FODMAP, no sugar alcohols, probiotic packed and soft baked? And we said, yeah, they do. We can't take a chance. We want everyone to have these and feel 1000% confident that not only are they good for them, they won't run into trouble.
Yeah. And I would love to know, Katie, just for everyone watching, what does IBS, number one, what does it stand for? And what are the symptoms? And what did your journey with IBS look like?
Yeah, we have quite the story there. IBS stands for Irritable Bowel Syndrome. And IBS, very unfortunately, is on the rise. So we know that 70% of US Americans report daily digestive symptoms. Now, that doesn't mean they have IBS, but they report daily digestive symptoms. That could be everything from bloating to constipation to cramping.
Wow.
And what we know now, which is shocking to me, is 1 in 5 Americans report having IBS. Yeah, and I think, it breaks my heart that gut issues are on the rise. And when we first kind of went down this path, I kept thinking, can we contribute by creating the magic pill that gets rid of gut issues? And I had to take a step back and say, that's not going to be our contribution. We're going to lean into science and hope that they get us there in 5 to 8 years. But what we can do is, again, provide tasty, fun treats for those who do have these issues. You shouldn't have to be fearful of eating, right? You should be able to enjoy, especially on the go. And I hated the fact that I was, and so many people I knew, limiting their lives, whether it be, avoiding the car trip because they were worried about food. So that's irritable bowel syndrome. That said, while our product started as kind of an IBS friendly product, simply because that's the term I identified with, in creating this brand, we wanted to make sure this brand was a fit for anyone who wants a gut friendly snack, but B, large community of people, and it's growing, who say, yeah, my stomach kind of hates me. I've had gut issues for years. I don't really know what they are, but I just know that I'm kind of bloated all the time. And they might not, say I've got IBS, but they just know that something's not quite right in the gut.
Right.
And that's very much our community too. So this is a product for someone who knows, yeah, I've had IBS for years. I know all about IBS. It's also a product for someone who just says, yeah, my gut's kind of sensitive and something's weird and I don't know what, but I have to watch what I eat.
Yeah. Okay. This is fascinating because I think in general, every single person on the planet has some sort of, maybe chronic isn't the right word, but some sort of like ailment or allergy or body thing that they live with on a daily basis. And maybe it's undiagnosed, or they're just like, oh no, this is how I am. It's how I've been my whole entire life. And I think, IBS and leaky gut and just things in your gut health, so many people have it and they just are like, no, but this is normal. And, it's okay to feel bloated or have indigestion or to, I don't even know, but I really relate to that because I have noticed in my own experience, I have cystic acne all on my cheeks. And I know for me that there are certain foods that will cause it to flare up and, just make me feel really bloated and just heavy and kind of lethargic. And I think it's so important to, listen to your body because like I said, I think so many, not just Americans, but people across the entire globe, they have these lifestyle habits and diets that they have been just doing for years and years and years and years. And it's like, they don't realize that that's actually causing the flare up in all of the symptoms. And I totally agree with what you said.
I eat gluten-free, dairy-free, low FODMAP. But Nick, isn't someone who falls into the gut challenge community. With that said, he's for ease alone has kind of adopted the gluten-free, dairy-free lifestyle. And I think you'll even say that even though you didn't have issues prior, you feel better when you're.
Yeah, I think that's the most interesting thing about it, is being with someone who does have these issues, is that suddenly it was opened my eyes to be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to feel like this during having X, Y, and Z. Okay. So that's I found that really interesting, because I made Katie's meals for 2-3 years, trying to figure out where it was going wrong. And she has a big input as well by saying what we should try. And then I started having the meals as well. And you just feel so much better and more healthy from it, because you don't realize what you're putting into your body every day as much, because you're not educated on it. And it's not intuitive to straight away go, oh, this is not good for me. Why should I have this? You know?
Right. I would also love to know, like, what would you qualify, which foods trigger IBS? Like, if you were to give a list, what kinds of foods should people avoid if they're wanting to avoid a flare-up or having really bad digestion issues?
Yes. So this is where I go back to the low FODMAP diet. And this is the strangest sounding diet you've ever heard. Rather than get into the nitty gritty, because I'll be honest, it's a complicated diet to follow. But if you go into a GI doctor and say, I've got gut issues, I don't know what the heck is causing them, you will inevitably get a black and white handout on the low FODMAP diet.
Mm-hmm.
And the low FODMAP diet is not meant to fix your gut problems. It is not going to be an overnight solution. It's a diet that generally mitigates the impact, or I should say mitigates your GI symptoms, right? So if you're following the low FODMAP diet, you should see bloating getting reduced. You should see constipation getting better. It's also not a diet that you're meant to be on long term. It's a diet that's meant to help you identify those foods that are really triggering what we all refer to in the gut challenge community as flare-ups, where you really kind of have whether that be bloating or you just, feel cramps for a day.
Right.
So for example, for me on the low FODMAP diet, the fructans were something that I really identified as a problem. So it sounds odd, but apples have a lot of fructose in them. I would, again, apples sound healthy. They are healthy, and most people have apples, no problem. I identified that via the low FODMAP diet as something that was problematic. The two really famous ingredients that you'll hear referenced, whenever you hear low FODMAP, is garlic and onion. Believe it or not, for a lot of people, even if you think you tolerate garlic and onion well, those are major gut irritants.
I was going to say, yeah, I have a lot of friends who say whenever they eat onions or garlic, they feel really bloated after.
Yes. And I refuse to believe this for the longest time, because I should say I love cooking with garlic, but it makes a big difference. So low FODMAP diet, the other killer for most people with any sort of gut issues are sugar alcohols, which you unfortunately find in a lot of foods now. There's lots of different ones, and if you can tolerate them, great. Keep consuming your sugar alcohols. I don't want to limit your diet, but you'll find that in donuts and brownies and baked goods. For me, again, this is where it was counterintuitive, is I cut out gluten, and again, I don't recommend that everyone cuts out gluten. For me, that was helpful. But so many gluten-free products still have sugar alcohols. So I had to really take it that one step further and say, and do the low FODMAP diet and figure out where exactly I was running into trouble.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of trial and error. Belli Welli started in a home kitchen with Nick baking thousands of bars. Nick created the bar.
Wow, no way.
Yes. He created it after I was in tears one night because I missed chocolate chip cookies. And Nick said, I'm going to hire a formulator and a food scientist and work 15 hours a week on making you the perfect IBS-friendly chocolate chip cookie.
Wow.
He did this for 6 months. We tried a lot of bars, a lot of terrible bars in between.
There was a lot of terrible.
We learned all about the low FODMAP diet. We spoke with GI doctors. We learned about gluten and dairy, and we eventually cracked, or I shouldn't say you eventually cracked it.
Wow, with your knowledge and my persistence.
We made them. He decided to launch the business just as a test. Before we actually officially launched Belli Welli, and we sold 800 bars overnight.
Whoa.
And it continued to grow, and Nick was making all of them by hand. Literally, he was hairnetting up and gloving up, and every night he was up until the wee hours making thousands of bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how this all started. And then
they were definitely made with love. So.
And then we hired in a formulator, and we went to a co-packer very officially. And hence Belli Welli. We hired someone with food science knowledge to take our bar and really fine tune it. And then again, of course, get these products made in a co-packing facility. I don't think Nick ever wants to see another oven again in his life. Yeah.
My kids are never going to have a cookie baked by me.
Yeah.
I'm sure. That's so funny. Okay, so that kind of was going to lead into my next question I had was, how did Belli Welli, like the actual inspirational moments, like how did it start and how did it, like the beginning, like how did you create these delicious recipes? Because I also tried the mint flavor, and that was my favorite.
Yeah, the mint is the OG. So the mint was what Nick originally made. One, because we were adamant that peppermint oil needed to be in the products, because so many people in the gut community know the value of peppermint oil and how that impacts gut health. It's a great soother for the gut. So peppermint oil was in the original bar. We know that not everyone loves mint, hence having 3 other flavors. Mint, we've learned, is one of those things that's like cilantro, where you either love it or you hate it. I'm a mint lover. Nick is not a mint lover. So I've learned that not everyone loves it.
Yeah.
But we do use actual peppermint oil, which you will not find. So most peppermint, chocolate products on the market use peppermint flavoring. We really were adamant that we wanted to use pure peppermint oil so that it actually has some gut benefit for our consumers. So Belli Welli, again, started because Nick was adamant about making me the perfect IBS-friendly chocolate chip cookie. We grew a huge community on Facebook, and we saw just how big this community was and how in need of snack products they were. So for about 6 months, we ran a business out of our home kitchen and literally baked thousands and thousands and thousands of bars. Nick did them all by hand.
Describe Belli Welli and where it came from. Completely crazy. Just the way she is, the bubbliness of her, how she dresses, the color she loves, like everything like that is, the previous brand, it was called Ivy Simple, was just more
it was our proof of concept.
Proof of concept. And then Belli Welli just was like just you completely.
Again, we wanted to make a brand that flipped an antiquated and sterile space on its head and normalize the conversation around gut health, which we felt was so important. So we tested the concept, ran it out of the kitchen as Ivy Simple. Once we knew there was absolutely a need for this product, again, that's when we decided to grow the brand to scale. We created Belli Welli. We wanted a brand that, again, you couldn't stop looking at and just felt fun and relevant and modern and empowering. We believe these are important conversations to have. Gut health is huge, and it should be. It impacts so many facets of our life. And so again, that's when we scaled the business out of the kitchen and became official and launched the brand at the end of March.
Wow. That is so crazy. And I also want to ask, is it called Belli Welli, like your belly well, like wellness for your belly?
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
Exactly. Yep. We spent a lot of time trying to find the right name. And once someone, to be honest, I can't take credit. We were in a big brainstorm session. I think someone threw out Belli Welli, and I said, I can't stop saying it. So that's the one. I love saying it, and I love every excuse to say it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Which year did you launch Belli Welli?
We just launched it this March. Yeah, it's in last month.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So is it like your 1 month anniversary?
Yes.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's amazing.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Where do you, like right now with Belli Welli, where do you envision it in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Like, do you want to share any business goals you have, or just where you want to see the bar, like in airports, in grocery stores, just like everywhere? Like, what are your goals?
Yeah, great question. Nick is grabbing a charger so that we don't die on you. Goals, great question. So we started as a D2C company and we had accidental success doing that. So we have every intention of continuing down that path. That said, retail is an important part of our strategy, and it's not that we're not excited to go to retail stores. We were really fortunate to cross paths with the initial 2 employees at Smart Suites, and they came on as our first 2 advisors and investors. And I think the world of them, and they built an incredible brand, clearly, and they built an incredible brand through growing a community on social very organically before they ever went to retail stores. And we are envious of that, and we want to try to emulate that. So with that in mind, I think we'll continue to grow our D2C presence via social, some of these awesome e-commerce platforms that are popping up nowadays. And then we'll turn our attention to retail later this year and next year. We've had a couple of retailers already reach out, which is awesome and exciting. So again, it's not that we're not excited to be on the shelves, as you say in CPG, but we want to make sure we're doing that really thoughtfully. Additionally, the next question we get all the time when we're talking about timeline is, what products are next? We feel so fortunate. I know I briefly mentioned this earlier in the call. We grew a Facebook community, and that's really why we had early success. Is we built this great community and observed conversations and learned from the community. I'm part of it, but I still have a lot to learn. And they really helped inform what decisions we've made thus far. I mean, down to our flavors. So I thought we were going to launch a peanut butter SKU, and our community chose cinnamon over peanut butter. And so we went with their advice. So when it comes to new products, my answer is we are going to lean into the community and we are going to listen to them. So I'm tempted to tell you that I think our next iteration is 3 new bar flavors. But before I commit to that, I want to gut check that with our community and ensure that that's what they're looking for. We believe there's an opportunity to touch every point in the grocery store. Every product can be kind of gutified. And so I think we will do that, but we want to make sure, again, we do it the right way.
Yeah, that is like so powerful. And I had no idea that people from Smart Suites, which is another brand that I love, they came on as investors, and they were like that's so cool. And I think there's so many parallels between Smart Suites and Belli Welli. And that's like just a dream. Like, so I could so see that happening.
Oh my gosh. We've been so lucky in who's joined our cap table. We have a pretty cool group of investors that come from completely different walks of life. And that was very intentional. We wanted, folks from tech and CPG, and we feel so lucky. And I think that's half the reason we are where we are, is we keep picking them daily saying, what should we do next?
Yeah.
Give us all your advice. And they've been incredible. So they're just one example of a group that we feel really fortunate to have by our side.
That's amazing. Like, would you say what would your number one tip be if there's someone listening right now who wants to start a food brand, or like has this, thing in their life? Like, maybe for me, I have anxiety and I find inspiration, and one night I'm just like, boom, oh, here's this idea. What would your number one tip be for kind of like taking that leap? Because I think a lot of people, when they have a great idea, invention, a food company idea, they often let the fear come in. They're like, oh, it's a great idea, but financially, or these people may think this about me, or, how, like, social media, how am I going to navigate this? Like, what would your number one tip be for just kind of taking like that leap, or like putting yourself out there and like actually taking action?
I've got an answer. I'll let you go too. Yeah. Do you want to go first?
As well. I'd say the first thing is to see what the community wants. If it's something that you have and it's a great idea, you should shop it around to everyone and anyone and see what feedback you get back. And if it is a need for them, then I would say double down, put your house on it, and make it happen.
But don't actually put your health.
But maybe don't put your health on it.
That was interesting. You said that was going to be mine, is product market fit. I think that we did that. Thank goodness we did it. But it's so important, right? You might have the world's best idea. You've got to make sure there's a need and a want for it. And I also think my second piece of advice, speaking to that feeling of intimidation, is do a little bit every single day. And if you move the needle on the idea or the business, even, 30 minutes a day, do something each day to move the needle, and it gets easier and easier and easier, and you get closer and closer and closer.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I love what you said, Katie, about just finding your why and like what makes you unique in your niche, because obviously in today's world, it's competitive. There are so many like vegan, gluten-free, paleo, keto, like so many just food brands and just so many snacks on the market that are coming out so quick. And every time I go to Whole Foods, I'm like overwhelmed with like, wow, they have things that are nut-free and sugar-free and this free and that free. Like it's just it's very large. And I think that's true. It's just, what makes your brand unique and stand out, and what makes it have that special factor. But I agree. I think honestly, even Kim Kardashian West talks about this. She, uses her Instagram to really get feedback on what is working and what's not working. Like she will straight up ask her followers, hey, do you guys, for a perfume bottle, do you like this shape or this shape? Clothing brand, do you like this color, this size, this, fabric? And it's so powerful because not only are you really getting answers from the direct source, but you actually are engaging with your fans and your followers, and it makes them feel needed and wanted and like they were a part of the process too.
Yes. Sure. Yes. I mean, you nail it. That's been our biggest lesson thus far is, we decided to tweak formulation ever so slightly in our most recent batch. Mm-hmm. And we sent it all out. We sent it out to consumers and said, what do you think? We kind of tweaked this. What do you think?
Yeah.
And, in your head, you're thinking, gosh, that really puts us in our vulnerable state as a brand. Is that the right, should we be admitting we tweaked something? And you know what? Best decision we've made thus far. It actually ended with like 30 amazing conversations with consumers, and they all have the same response, which was like, how cool that I get to be a process, part of your process. I love that you're listening to my feedback. And we were literally taking in their feedback. I just think nowadays, especially with a very saturated and competitive market,
yes,
brands that survive are based on relationships. And realness, right? Is saying, look, this is our story. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And this is why we're trying to accomplish it.
Right.
Come on this journey with us. And I'm sure that's easier said than done. We're learning as we go. But you'll always find from us, we're an open book, maybe too much of an open book, but we want it to feel like we're all on the journey with our consumers, because that's very true.
Yeah.
We're not a brand without them.
Yeah. And it really, it goes the long way. And I agree from my own experience. Every single day, I constantly ask myself, because there are other motivational speakers for teenagers. There are other mental health advocates for young adults. So I constantly have to ask myself, what makes me unique, and why would someone want to hire me to coach their teenager or to speak at their school? Because there's other people, there's other guys, there are people who are older, younger, who are, have more qualified, who have a, like a college degree. And that's something I don't have. So I think it's really, in a healthy way, but every single day asking yourself, how can I do better? Because if I want to see my business really level up and just thrive, I have to be constantly checking in with myself and my audience, my customers, my clients, and really asking them, hey, if you could write a testimonial, or what did you love about this experience? What was your favorite part of our, our PR box? Like, did you love this flavor, this coloring, this font? I think it's just, it makes a difference in a successful business versus one that is just staying kind of in the past almost.
Yep. I think you see that in, even in social media nowadays. the content that's landing is not the perfect picture of your product sitting on a platform with a pastel background. That's not working. What's working is, oh my gosh, this is us in our factory today, trying to figure out, how the heck we add, the right number of chocolate chips. What do you think is too many? What do you think is too few? That's what's working, and with good reason, because that's real life. That's what's actually happening behind the scenes.
I agree, Katie. I think there's like a change happening with social media, not with just the algorithm, but I really think people are craving like the behind the scenes. Like people want to see what some people would call like not picture perfect for Instagram, but people crave that. People love the bloopers, the behind the scenes, like show us what your kitchen, your factory, your manufacturer, like your warehouse, show us what it looks like. Because I think it inspires people to realize, number one, anything is possible.
Totally.
It's not as scary as it seems, because I think people can bite off more they can chew. And I think people can, have this idea like, oh, I want to write a book. I want to start a podcast. I want to start a business. And then I think they get overwhelmed with like, but what's step one? Like I have this idea, but it's too much. I don't have a warehouse. I don't have distributors, but you just have to realize like there are so many Instagram accounts and brands like Belli Welli that are really, it's like the Wizard of Oz, like peeling behind the curtain and showing you all, it's not as scary as you think, and it is possible. But that's another reason, honestly, why I love Belli Welli, because you guys do such a good job of being authentic and having that brand where, I see the colors and the bright pink and I'm like, oh, Belli Welli. But it's very relatable, and it's not this health food snack that is intimidating or just looks too fancy or expensive or modern, or because I think there are those on the market where the ingredients, you're like, what is this? And it's clean ingredients. You're like, what is this, African bee pollen? And you're like, this is weird, and it's expensive, and it's only available in certain, it's triggering because I think it's so exclusive, and it's, certain people can afford it or get it. But Belli Welli does such a good job of being available for everyone and really showing people that, it can be affordable, it can be easy, and it doesn't have to feel like scary or like you're not living your life and you can only eat, this diet product.
Totally. My new motto in life, and I think it relates to all things, is there's no rules. There's no rules when it comes to what, your diet looks like, right? Nowadays there's so much advice getting circulated. I always say, you do you. If our bars fit into that, great. Yeah. We love them. If they don't, that's cool. The same applies to business, right? And starting a company, as first-time founders, we got really caught up in the beginning of, this is how it has to go. This is you do this, then you do this, and you do this, and that's the rules. And I realized there's no rules. There's a million paths you can take to get from point A to B.
Right.
And there's real value in leaning into advice, but there's also real value in saying, this is our path and this is our story. And it might be unconventional, but we are doing what's right for us. And I think that applies. It's such simplistic, obvious advice, but at the same time, it's been really helpful for me to repeat that. I think, again, as it relates to both, even my own gut struggles and my own gut journey, but also to kind of running this business, is we gotta lean into what works for us.
Yeah. And I mean, firstly, thank you both for being so open and honest and sharing your secrets to success, because I think that's another great quality, is when business owners are really just friendly and open and honest, and they're willing to share what worked for them and what didn't work. And I think that's another key to success, is being relatable and being open and, just wanting to support other businesses. And I don't know, just being like I said, open and honest, I think is such a great way to be successful, because that's how I've succeeded, is just, if people DM me and ask me questions, as long as they're positive and normal, then I will respond, because I like sharing. And
such a nice way to be. It's such a nice way.
It's like, I remember when I was 17 years old and I was starting my speaking business and I would speak at boys and girls clubs, YMCAs. I had no clue what I was doing. I would walk around with like a business card, I made for like 50 cents at like a FedEx or Kinko's. And I'm like, here, I think this is what I'm doing. And I just remember when I was that young, I'm like, what I would have done for someone to like mentor me or to really be like, hey girl, this is boom, 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 boom. But now it's like, now at 25, it's been a while. And now I really pride myself on being that way for other people and being open and honest because I know what it feels like. And I'm sure you guys do too, when you're at the beginning and you're just, you're like, how do I start? Where do I go? And we all wish there was like a manual, a guide on how to be an entrepreneur or how to have a successful business or how to have a successful social media following. But it's like, yeah. And that's just something I really like. Kudos to you guys for just being that like open and honest. I think that's amazing.
Right back at you. And we love people like that. And we really are committed to being those people. So the same holds true. We will respond to every message, given that it's positive and uplifting. And we really mean it. I mean, careful what you ask for. If you ask for help or advice, I will be in it with you. I really will. That's my favorite thing to do. It's, what I did prior to this. So we both mean that as well.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So as we are nearing the end of this amazing episode, even though I could talk with you guys for hours and I feel like I've known you for like 500 years. Okay. So since, the theme of this podcast, it's called Reaching New Heights because I like to interview people who are reaching new heights in their life. And they're constantly, like you said, pushing the needle and really every single day looking inward and asking themselves how they can improve. I really love to ask every single guest this because I am a motivational speaker for teenagers. I love inspiring young adults. What is one class that the both of you wish were taught in your high school? When you were growing up, what is one class, like a class about mental health, a class about growing a business? What is one class or subject you wish was taught?
My joke answer, it's not my real answer, is how to run a company with your spouse. Because that's a new thing we're learning, right? Luckily, we're a really great team, but that has been a whole different thing, right? We, trying to figure out, marriage versus business and how we work as a business team has been hilarious at times and hard at times and all of the above. So that's my joke answer. I have a serious answer too. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go?
You go first.
I think it's such a boring answer, but I think it would have really helped is creating a business plan and executing on a business plan. I'm someone who likes to do. And sometimes I forget to take a step back and really look at a high level plan. I think in terms of, let me just move the needle on something each day.
Yes.
And I think I'm working on it, and you have no choice but to work on it in this position is really, you ask that question, what's your 1, 3, and 5 year timeline? Yeah. I'm so instant gratification that I think a business plan has really helped me think in terms of if I do this, then this, and will happen. If I don't do this, then we'll be in this place by year 3. So I just think that high level strategic thinking is something that didn't come naturally to me and would have been beneficial prior to this. So that's my answer.
Yeah.
Mine would be like that would have more mental health things, and I would be more encouraged to go down that route with my answer because I second guess myself every minute. With every decision I make, I'm like, oh, but what if you do it that way? Oh, why don't you do it this way? And then I end up procrastinating. Sometimes procrastination is a good thing, but just to speed up the process for me, if someone could say, go with a decision, run with it, commit to it, be confident behind it.
Yeah.
That's a really positive message. I don't think when I can get that early stages of life, I was more just obviously second guessing myself. So I think more of the mental behind decision making would be a really cool thing to have someone talk you through it.
Yeah.
I mean, like wonderful answers. I like, I really feel in business, and let me know if you guys agree, because I think it's important to trust your quote, like gut health. I think it's important.
Puns, yeah.
I know. I think it's important to trust your gut feelings. I think in business, you know, we can often be like, oh no, time to put on the business cap. You know, can't, you know, think like, oh, I don't know what I'm feeling. But it's like, I think in business, you can have many paths you could go down. And I think it's really important before making important decisions to just really pause and think, you know, like, well, what do I think is best for my business? Not just, but I agree. I'm also the type of person, Katie, where I'm like, let's go, like not thinking about just, I want to just take action. I don't care. Like I will take the jump and the parachute will open eventually. Like that's
we need the Nick people in our lives, because if the world was up to me, I think we'd be like I'm like you exactly, where I'm like, let's just get stuff and let's go.
Yeah.
I've got the patience. I literally have zero patience, probably.
Yes.
But I think, Megan, you hit something that I think is really interesting, and I'll even take it one step further. I think you're so right. And for me, the biggest takeaway has been that as it relates to relationships. So I've noticed, you know, when you're seeking advice, whether it be from mentors or advisors, and you say like, how do I handle this conflict or this kind of billing inquiry with this vendor, right?
Right.
And you're going to get advice. It's like, you tell them, you know, this is how it's done. This is how we do things. And for me, relationships has always been something I feel I'm good at. You know, there's a lot that I'm not good at, but relationships and people. And many times in this journey, this short journey this far, I've had to take a step back and say, you know, that might be the right advice to kind of approach the conversation like this and kind of lay down the law and tell them where we stand.
Yeah.
But people are people. I don't care if we're talking about business or romantic relationships or school. People are people. Go with your gut when it comes to how you interact and how you treat people. And I honestly think that's something that I hope I'll carry with me throughout. I mean, there's a fine line, right? You have to still run a business, but people, you know, relationships are still the most important thing. I think even as it relates to your business, and your gut is generally right when it comes to how to deal and treat people.
Yes. And that's so true, because I agree. You know, it's like a business, just like any relationship, like you said, platonic or romantic, a business, any healthy relationship that is going to last a long time, it has a solid foundation, you know, like it really is built on open communication, respect, like healthy, just a positive attitude, treating other people well, and just being professional and setting boundaries. Like, I think there's like, just, you know, like a good solid 5 characteristics that can make a healthy relationship, business, platonic or romantic. I so agree. And I think just, the most successful businesses are the ones where they're constantly having open communication about, hey, so, you know, that didn't work, but that did. So what made this formula, this path, whatever, what made this work? And how can we repeat that? Because that's the successful, you know, formula or recipe or anything like that. I so agree.
Yep. Yeah. I think people are paramount, and everything else falls into place if the people and the relationships are working, and you can put your head on the pillow every night and know that you're treating people well. I think that's, to me, the most important thing.
100%. Okay, Katie and Nick. So we have entered the part of the podcast where the lights get dim and I get dramatic. Basically, so I like to call this section like the fun rapid fire questions, where it's just quick little, you know, like, what's your favorite color, favorite vacation? Do you believe in ghosts? Like fun, goofy kind of questions that I like to get to know my guest a little bit more.
Love it.
So first question, you guys, like a mini drum roll. What, if you had to pick, and this could be like picking a favorite child, so maybe it won't work, but what is each of your favorite flavor of Belli Welli?
Lemon.
I didn't even have a chance. I knew I was coming so quick. I'm the mint. Yep. You're a lemon all the way. Nick's not a chocolate person.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I was going to say mint. I'm the most like anything chocolate, peanut butter is like heaven. Yeah.
Me too. I don't get lemon people, but they exist. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so opposite too. I wouldn't expect that. That's interesting. Okay. Second question. What is the most embarrassing moment that has ever occurred in your life? It could be related to Belli Welli, like a little accident, slip up, sent the email to the wrong person, or personal life. You like had toilet paper stuck to your foot, something embarrassing.
I'll start because it's about you. When Nick and I were dating, I was pursuing him at the beginning more than I think he would. I was definitely like, let's do this. And Nick is so polite in English, and we were going back and forth on a text about meeting up for a movie. And, you know, Nick's from England, I'm from here, different words, different phrases. And so I said, let's meet for this movie. And he said back, I still think it's the weirdest phrase I've ever heard, cool with the gang. And I read that as, oh, he wants a gang of people to come with us because he doesn't want it to be the two of us.
Yeah.
So I invited as many friends as I could to this movie and showed up at this movie with a gang of friends. Well, now we know that cool with the gang is just an English phrase for sounds good.
No, okay, I was gonna say Cool in the Gang, like the band from the 70s, like cool in the gang, or okay. No, wait, what was Nick's reaction when you walked in?
So polite and lovely, and just sat with all of us in the movie theater. And I'm sure was thinking like, what? Like, I've never been on a date with the girl who invites 10 friends to a movie. But
I found out.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's also such a telltale sign of like you found the right guy. Like if he's gonna roll with it and just be like, hey, you know, they won't make you feel bad about misreading a text. That's like you found the one, I think.
I could not agree more.
Mine's a little bit more strange. I have a tendency to wear my trousers backwards, putting them on backwards. So I think it's just I'm probably a bit overtired. It just
blame it on 2 kids. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 kids. It's only a recent thing.
Yeah.
More of a recent thing. Yeah.
You're just saying in general, that's something that you do? I've never noticed that.
Well, yeah, no, you haven't noticed it because you don't notice things like that. I think that's why we're so good together. You're not like, what's going on there?
Yeah, I can think of a few for you, but
I would rather have one. You tell me one.
No,
please.
I'll leave it at that. I mean, Nick is like the most. An English accent gets you out of a lot of embarrassing moments.
Yeah. That is so funny. And I agree. I think having an accent and like whether it's Southern, British, Australian, it helps a lot getting out of like a driving ticket or anything.
Totally.
Okay. So third question, what is the best piece of advice that each of you like that you've ever received?
Yeah. I was just talking about this. It comes from my mom as you'll never regret doing the right thing. And by that, I mean, circling back to people going the extra mile, even when it's not convenient. You'll never regret doing the right thing, even if it's not the easy thing to do. And I think that's so true. We all can remember. I mean, I should only speak for myself. I can tell you right now, the 5 times where I think I probably haven't done the right thing and they're top of mind and they stick with you. Right. And so I try to lead with that as always do the right thing by people. And you'll never regret it, even if it meant, 10 extra minutes or, 10 extra hours. If it's the right thing, do it.
So true.
My would be is that you are in control of how you come across. So like wake up every morning just smiling and do something that's going to make you uplift yourself, because it doesn't matter what's going on. If you do that, it's really positive. I think that's a positive thing to do each day. Like I always found that quite difficult to be like, oh, another day sometimes. But then once I think of a positive thing, I'm like, oh, okay, let's go, let's do this. Like,
you control the narrative.
Yeah, you control the narrative of it.
Mm-hmm. I think what you're saying too is that it's easy to get caught up in anxiety and feeling like it's all too much. And it's if you force yourself to put that smile on your face, it doesn't mean all mental health struggles go away, but it means that's a change you make. that's something you can choose to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I love that. And like, I really like what you said, Katie. I think like my own mom, she told me growing up, she's like, Megan, you know, like when I had really bad anxiety, it was at its worst when I was a freshman in high school. Specifically, I was 14 years old. And I mean, man, like I could barely get through one class, like one 50-minute class without, you know, just literally, I would say, can I go to the bathroom just to get fresh air? Like it was not a good time. And my grades were struggling. Like it was just so stressful because every single day I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm living the same day over and over. Like, oh, I got a bad grade on a test. Oh, what's new? Oh, then my mind, you know, was like, oh, I'm a failure. I'm this, I'm that. And then, you know, I will never forget one day after school, I just came home and I was so upset. And I was like, I can't do this. Like life, I'm just done. Like, I don't feel comfortable in my body, like already being a teenager, the hormones, the everything. And then I will say, it was crazy because I was crying to my mom and she was trying to comfort me. And she looked at me and just said, you know, Megan, like this anxiety, I will tell you right now that you really have a choice. Even in the moments when you feel like you can't breathe and you're like, I like need to get out of my own skin. She's like, just remember that your whole entire life, you know, whatever you want to accomplish, just know that it's up to you because you can still dream big and do really huge things, even if you feel anxious or worried or stressed. And she really just basically meant to never let the, you know, the fear, the worry, the nerves, never let that actually stop you from doing what you want to do and what you know is right. And I think that's important with everything, whether it's business or your personal life or just living life, you know, like traveling and just falling in love, like whatever it is, it's like just never letting the fear block you from just doing that thing. You know, that's just going to set you free and take the weight off your shoulders.
I'm sure you relate to that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Everything you just said was so relatable. So
yeah, I think Nick's gone through, you know, felt that anxiety that you describe at many points in life.
Yeah, and you do. It's so profound of your mom to say that you have a choice.
Yeah.
So owning it, taking it back to make it that you have a choice is powerful.
Yes, and I mean, I also think, you know, in business, I often feel this way. I sometimes, you know, like I want to kind of quote unquote, keep my blinders on, like, you know, not comparing my business, my Instagram page to other people and just saying, you know, how can I, you know, Megan Gallagher, how can I be better? How can I be my best self without saying like, oh, you know, I should be more like her or, oh, she's here. Oh, wow, she has 10 million followers. Cause I'm like, no, but that's just going to be triggering to me. So how can I do better and keep my blinders on? But I often have feelings, you know, and this is another piece of advice where my mom would tell me, she's like, no matter what happens in your life, you have to keep moving forward. Like, do not let negative thoughts like paralyze you with fear of like, oh no, I think I'm doing terrible. Like it's like, you're probably doing better than you think you're doing. Yeah. And she's like, because for me, you know, my anxiety, it's hereditary. My mind, I inherited in my family, and my mind is naturally wired to like get anxious and to start worrying instead of thinking positively. Like my mind wants to go, oh, well, what's the worst? So I have, you know, through years of therapy, I've trained my mind to say, okay, no, you know, it's a choice. I'm not going down that path, even though that's what feels right and natural and what I've been doing for 10 years. It's like, we're going to go down this path where it's more positive and it's actually going to make you physically feel better. But I think that can happen. You know, we can just have these moments where we're like, wait, I don't know what to do next, or what's going to happen, or financially, or what if this product doesn't do it? And it's like, I think you just have to keep on moving forward. Even if your mind is like, no, it's going to be it's like, you have to kind of be your own therapist in those moments and tell yourself like, no, we got this. It's going to be okay.
You have no idea how like relevant to it. I mean, I think what's interesting is about what you just said is, you know, not that I don't experience anxiety, but a lot of what you just said, I think Nick, I'm sure without speaking for you, can relate to. And I think
definitely like to get up and move forward in a positive direction the whole time. That's huge. So,
one thing I can do a lot better, and this is where we're figuring out how we work together in a business, is, you know, that same process that you go through in your mind, or that Nick may be going through in his mind. You know, one thing Nick's gotten really good at, and I have to be better about on my end, is he is good at saying, I'm getting to this point where I'm feeling this anxiety. This is what I need to have happen to kind of redirect. And as the other person hearing that and saying, oh gosh, like my approach, which is to like list a to-do list out loud while we're driving in the car and say 40 things out loud, where Nick's thinking, that is not working for me. That is really overwhelming. That feels very stressful. And I'm someone who likes to say bad news out loud. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not working. And in my mind, I'm like, that's powering me, right? And I'm like, and in Nick's mind, it's like, you could not be more overwhelming right now. And so we're trying to figure out that dynamic of him saying like, you got to change this approach. And he's saying like, but this is what works for me. But now we're running a business together, and the things that power me and stress me out are so different than the things that I think power Nick and stress Nick out. So no, I think I'm like the worst enemy for someone who's like, that's stressful to say all the bad news out loud in like a 30-minute setting. But
as well, in a business setting, the fact that we are these quite opposite in those ways, it really does, and it benefits. So much. It really does. Sometimes when it doesn't, it's like, okay, let's take a breather.
Okay, I love that. Like, you guys are seriously not only like couple goals, but business goals. And I love how you guys, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you guys are like kind of a little bit opposite, but you balance each other in a good way. And like, do you think like that's a secret to your business success, is like you guys think differently and you have different, like you're a little bit opposite, so you can balance and like help each other? Like,
well, I like you said, touched on earlier, Katie will push on through and get as many things done as possible. I'm more meticulous, so I like to sit there and go, okay, and if I see anything, I'm like, oh, I will go and make sure that gets pushed through line by doing X, Y, and Z. So I think that's where it really benefits. I don't know where you think it does. But.
Megan, as we talked about, I think I'm like you. I'm like, let's get as much done as possible in 24 hours. I do not want to wait for anything. So let's just do it all. And say like, we don't need to get this all done by 2 a.m. And I'll be like, no, we have to stay up till 2. Like it has to all get, and he's like, it doesn't. And I do think that in my past life, I was a matchmaker for 10 years. That's what I did prior to Belli Welli. And so I do believe that in every relationship, whether it be platonic or romantic, there is someone that's kind of this grounding force, and there's someone that's the us. I don't have a name for us, but and I think you need both. You really need both.
Wow, okay. I mean, that's like a whole other conversation, but I love like, that is so cool that you did that. Oh my gosh. Okay. So thank you guys so much for being on Reaching New Heights. I mean, this was amazing.
We had just as much. I mean,
so much fun.
We love what you do. We love what you stand for. I mean, that is coming from the bottom of our hearts. We can't look away on your Instagram because you're so full of life and positivity, and it's just fun to see content like that. We need more of that. So please keep doing you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for trying Belli Welli. Thank you for loving Belli Welli. It means the world to us. Those wins are powering us every day. Like we will, truly, we mean that. And to anyone listening, please come on the journey with us. Feedback, try the bars, tell us what you think. Tell us if you hate the color of our font. We don't care. We want to hear it all. Really, we mean it, because we feel like this is a group effort. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us on. I'd love to speak to you and have so many things you said resonate with me massively. And even from today, I was being Katie some breakfast this morning, and I dropped the tray with coffee on, so it went everywhere. And I was like, that kind of got to me a little bit. So I went away, and now I've heard that goes a couple of things. I'm like, redirect, Nick, be positive, just from those things. So I appreciate that massively. You changed my day. That's good.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so sweet. And like, low key, I want to be adopted into your family because you guys are seriously, I look up to you as business people, but also just you guys have such good energy. And I think you guys, like, I love businesses where they started from a genuine experience in life where, you know, they turned their pain or frustration or a genuine health issue into purpose, into a higher reasoning. And I thank you for taking your time today. And I really think that Belli Welli is just helping so many people out there who may feel embarrassed or alone, or, you know, they've never experienced gut health issues and they want to know more. And so it's a fun snack. Everyone watching, go follow Belli Welli on Instagram. Check out their website. It's seriously such a reputable brand. And Katie and Nick, thank you guys again.
Thank you. Bring on your TMI. No TMI is too much for us. That's what we say. So.
Like, what's too much? Talking about gut health? Is it like
nothing? No. That's like, yeah, that was like a front runner for another tagline. Is like, your TMI is never TMI. So so please, thank you so much, Megan. We so appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And thank you everyone for tuning in to yet another episode of Reaching New Heights. As always, your host, Megan Gallagher. I wish you guys an amazing day. And remember to reach for more in all areas of your life. You can do it. It's going to be amazing. And how you do in your life is up to you. Thank you, guys.